Caribbean's powerhouse, Von Radio, for Speak Up, a social commentary talk show that addresses the state of affairs on Nevis. Expect great conversations, different perspectives, and an all-inclusive approach to moving Nevis forward. Tune in. It's time for us to speak up.
Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Good evening. It is Thursday, the 2nd of June, and it's another edition of Speak Up. It's just me alone this evening. My colleague Jaedee has some other work commitments, and so I'll be in your company for the next half an hour. As is customary, let me greet our normal listeners and viewers, and to say a pleasant good evening to you, and to those of you joining us for the first time, good evening as well. Go across to Nevis 3, Nevis 10, and to say a pleasant good evening to the constituents there in Gingerland. And I hope you're doing well, and I look forward to dialoguing with you over the coming weeks. We want to say congratulations as well to 3 of our athletes who participated in a athletic meet in Guadeloupe. Jaedee Williams, Alexander Caines, and Acadianto Willett would have all returned silver in their respective disciplines, and so congratulations to them, and congratulations to the rest of the team. There were some bronze medals there as well, and to continue to support our athletes as they continue to do well in their discipline. Of course, we want to extend condolences to those who are bereaved at the moment, and to share a word of encouragement with those who are having a difficult time for whatever reason that is. We ask you to continue to trust and hold on to God's unchanging hand. And for those who are mourning the loss of a loved one, we extend our deepest sympathies. It's Thursday, and it is Speak Up, and so I'm going to speak up a bit about what is happening locally. Of course, the NRP released its slate of candidates for the upcoming federal elections, and there has been quite a bit of talk in the political arena with regards to its candidates. And we have heard in some circles that we are in breach of our own constitution, and we're looking to run the same candidates for local and federal. And party colleague Dr. Bartlett would have proficiently and correctly answered that question. And our constitution is clear. There's no ambiguity there. And for those of us who would have had the opportunity to see it and read it, would clearly see that we are not in breach of our constitution. None of the candidates on the slate for the political campaign for the federal election has ever contested any elections, be it at the local or the federal level. And the constitution of the NRP is clear, and I can give it to you in the simplest of terms, that if a candidate already sits in a parliament, any parliament, whether it is the local parliament here in Nevis Island Assembly Parliament, or it is the federal parliament, then that individual is not preferred to or would not contest an election to be seated in the other parliament. And so if any one of us already sits in the local assembly, which neither of us, not Dr. Bartlett, not Dr. Daniel, nor myself, sit in the local assembly, and so we are within our rights as per the constitution to seek federal office, and that is as clear as I can get on that. I know a lot of people are trying to be mischievous and try to cause an uproar and say that we are being this and we are being that, but we are aware of what our constitution says, and we are abiding by that. And if in the event it comes down to some amendments having to be made to our constitution, that is well within our rights as well. But it's one bridge at a time. Federal is pressing on us, and that is what we are dealing with. And I know some people trying to create this image of us going back on our word and all that. And it must be said that our candidates, or 5 candidates, came in on a mission to restore good governance locally. That was our aim, and that was clear. And so we were well prepared for, and still are prepared for, local elections. But you have a situation where the members opposite decided that they are going to, as they would say locally, mash up the government. And you mash up the government, and then you force an election 2 years into that administration, and so that has resulted in a federal election. And because we were preparing for a local election with our eyes to the future for a federal election, and this happening far sooner than we anticipated that it would, we find ourselves in this position. And we would have gone through our processes, and we trusted our processes to find suitable candidates to run for the federal election. And considering the proximity, the closeness of the election, and wanting to give ourselves enough time on the campaign trail and to ensure that we are well prepared, this is what has happened. I mean, it is like, they are saying that if you prepare for a hurricane, of course the North Atlantic hurricane season began yesterday, and so you prepare for a hurricane, and you have your resources, you have your emergency bag with all your necessities and so on. But another natural event happens. You shouldn't use the resources that you have to survive or to combat the current natural event that you're facing, the natural hazard that you're facing. You're supposed to just leave, you're prepared for a hurricane, so those resources, leave them for the eventuality of a hurricane. And life doesn't work like that. And in situations like these, of course, if you prepare for one thing and you need to use your resources before that, then that is what you need to do. That is what you have to do to make sure that you are that you're okay, that you're safe. And that is what is happening now. It is almost as if they want us not to have candidates in the federal election. They'd prefer to run unopposed, and that is not going to happen. And so the NRP is presenting 3 new candidates, not the recycled candidates like we're seeing from the other side. We're presenting new candidates, and the mission is clear, and that is to do all that we can to elevate our people, to elevate divisions, to move them from one level of prosperity to the next. And that is our focus. And whatever we set out to do in Bastille, should that be the wish of the people of Nevis, they will be the focal point of all our deliberations. They will be the focal point of all our doings in Bastille. And so whatever we do there must redound to the benefit of the people of Nevis. And that is a mission, singular mission. And so we are going to launch our candidates very shortly. That is tomorrow, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. And so that is where we are at. It's almost as if they want to pick their squad and still pick our squad. And it doesn't work like that. You have chosen your squad, and we will choose our squad, and we'll meet in the middle and have, as far as our side is concerned, honest conversations on the issues relevant to the Univision public today, issues that impact and affect their lives, and issues that are relevant to how they can see themselves progressing and having some upward mobility and fulfilling their higher order needs. There is no secret that across the island of Nevis there is some suffering. It has been a turbulent 2 years. Of course, the COVID-19 has brought its economic struggles to our shores and has really exacerbated some of the situations that we had here before. And so, as an opposition, we are keenly focused on how we can restart the economy and to provide some level of stability in that area so that our people can have opportunities for employment, opportunities for economic growth. And so that is what this election is about. What is it that we can offer as a party, and fundamentally looking at areas such as healthcare and housing and job opportunities. And so those are the things that are important to the Univision people at the moment, and those are the things we are going to be dialoguing with the constituents on and hearing from them and crafting plans and policies in a way that positively benefits their lives, and so not bothered about what the opposition is trying, and what we'd like for them to tell us, since they want to be telling us how to run our campaign, is to tell us how, or be accountable, or show some accountability for how they spend $400 million. I mean, I've heard that it's on average just under 60 million a year. I think the last number I had was $57 million a year over the 7-year period, and in 7 years, and you can look across the island of Nevis and measure the $400 million against what you see. $57 million a year, and still at Oli we just have a peer. In 2022, in the era of sound development and putting infrastructure in place that allows us to compete with the other countries across the region, there is no arrival and departure facility. And that is fundamental. Of course, it's a water taxi facility, and through that avenue, quite a number of our tourists will come daily, especially during the tourist season. And we ought to have had a proper facility there, not just for our visiting friends, but for our local residents and our citizens as well. At $57 million a year, I think we should have had a complete facility, an arrival and departure lounge, and all the amenities that go with modern day travel at that level. And so maybe they can tell us about that and why at $57 million a year there is still just a pier, and a pier that, as far as we understand it doesn't have any refueling apparatus, and in this day and age, one would have thought that in constructing that water taxi to give ease of business to the operators, that the refueling apparatus would have been there, and to give the ease of doing business for travelers, the comfort required, that there would have been that facility, that arrival and departure lounge, and to put the facility on a world stage as being one that meets modern day travel standards. So at $57 million a year, maybe they could tell us why the Mondo facility is still just a Mondo track. At $57 million a year, why isn't there a completed stadium? a stadium that has been much talked about, and grabbing benefits from it, from our student success. And at 57 million a year, again, I think that facility too should have been completed, and be completed to give us the opportunity to host some regional meets, the Carifta Games and NACAC and all the others. That should have been there. The facility should have been completed, rather than having just the track and temporary stands and all of that. And so our people are deserving of a completed stadium with the amenities and all the good things that come with it. And we've said time and time again, not just the track but the program that complements the facility, that affords our young athletes the best training possibilities, and a program that allows our coaches to be upgraded to certain standards, and our meet officials as well, so that they too can travel and officiate at the highest level. That is all a part of the package that should have been, and not just the Mondo track in itself, and not just the facility in itself, but the program that complements that and allows our people to progress in a meaningful manner. 57 million a year. We should have already been at an advanced stage in those regards. At $57 million a year, the E.T. Willard Park is still looking for its $15 million upgrade. I mean, we weren't the one who said it. It was in a manifesto, a promise to the people of Nevis. At $57 million a year, we would like to think that E.T. Willard Park would be in a position now for the return of first-class cricket, the welcoming of CPL games, the biggest party in sport, and to welcome international cricket. I mean, Nevis has the highest test players per capita in the world. And right now we have quite a few divisions playing in the West Indies Championships. The final round here in Trinidad and Tobago. Karen Powell, Kazan Archibald, they are there. The Ross Powell, they are there. And how good it must be for them to know that they could walk out into the pitch at a world-class facility here in Nevis. That was promised. And at $57 million a year, I believe that the E.T. Willard Park is well overdue its promised upgrade. And when you look at how it was done, it was all part of the connection. A facility at Long Point to ease the burdens on the park, and then develop the park, and then put the facility out there, and it would mean wonders, and it would have done wonders for youngsters to know that they're training and playing in a world-class facility, and give them that sense of wanting to do better and to move to higher levels. At $57 million a year, E.T. Willard Park should have been upgraded already. At $57 million a year, we are still waiting for the completion of the new hospital, the new wing, the addition, whatever they want to call it. Started 5 years ago. And we have said time and time again, the magnitude of that facility, having started 5 years ago, should have already been completed around 2018, 2019. But here we are in 2022, and the last thing we heard about that is that there is hope that it might be finished this year. But we have said that it will take an NRP administration to come in and fix that problem and give the people of Nevis the facility that they need, and offer the services that modern day facilities like those require. $19 million on 5 years, still waiting for the completion of that facility. $57 million a year. And you hear me say $57 million a year. It's not me who said it. On average, that is what it works out to, and that is the number they put out there, so I'm just using it. at that kind of figure, health management system should have been improved. I mean, the Charlestown Health Centre is, as I can remember it, as a young boy. Not that I'm saying I'm that old, but that is how I remember it. And we ought to be looking to upgrade that to a modern medical facility that eases the burden and the traffic at the Alexandra Hospital. And so, with that kind of money, that should have been done. We should have been looking to do similarly in Gingerland, because we recognize that there is a need for those kind of services as we look to push deep into this century, to prepare ourselves to be ahead of the curve and not always trying to play catch up. That we have these resources and facilities in place already, and so when we look at the expansion of our communities, that we have the facilities in place to handle in a situation like that. We ought to have been in a place where we now have emergency medical services located in Gingerland and in Newcastle, rather than having to ask, an ambulance to make the journey to and then back. These are things that we should be considering and looking at. The upgrade of our health centres at 57 million a year. Cotton Health Centre is still in a community centre. The Gingerland Health Centre is in a community centre. And in Newcastle and Butlers, it would be nice, and the time is long overdue for those facilities to be modern facilities, just like we would have done in Brownhill. And so at 57 million a year, we ought really to have been doing things that benefit positively the people of Nevis, and looking to put their lives in better positions, and so that they can live comfortable knowing that certain things are in place, and they can have a greater sense and pride in the island of Nevis. And so $400 million should have really reflected a singular mindset of advancing our people. And we can go on. I mean, in 2020, in the heart of the global pandemic that is COVID-19, we would have heard time and time again how it was necessary to provide some liquidity to the most vulnerable among us, our single parent homes, our elderly, those who were struggling with employment. That was supposed to happen, and time again when asked if any such relief would be provided to our vulnerable, the answer was no, there was no money for that. But at every turn we saw and we heard of how roads were being done in and around Charlestown and other places. And so this government, at a time when humanity called us to look after each other, to be a brother's keeper on our sister's shoulder, this government was saying, hold on a while there, we can pay some roads, and if anything, we'll share something. And what has happened is that we have found that our social safety nets have been affording our most vulnerable, especially our women with children at different ages, $150 a month or $100 a month. That is the level of care we have been given to some of our people, the most vulnerable at that. And I am saying that it is well and good to do the roads, but in a situation like that, at a time like that, when people were battling the COVID-19, that health scare, the economic worries, the emotional roller coaster, the mental instability of some of our people, that people needed a sense of normalcy, and government could have provided that with providing some much needed finance, some much needed cash. Our social safety net should have been doing much more. And it is not me just saying it. Leading, institutions said that, and that is why you saw Barbados responding in the way they did. We saw Jamaica responding, and other countries responding likewise, because that was the best approach to helping our people. But at 57 million a year, this government preferred to pave roads rather than to pave a path to stability during the crisis, rather than paving a path to social comfort and some economic level for our people to survive. And so at 57 million a year, those things should have been done. It is really what should have happened to help us cope and to get through the COVID-19 pandemic. And so maybe they can tell us about those things and why those things haven't happened. We will handle our own affairs. We will continue to converse with the people of Nevis, continue to lay before them our plans for better Nevis. A few moments I have left, of course, let me encourage you during this hurricane season to ensure that you have begun preparations to make your emergency kit. It is absolutely necessary considering the severity of the hurricanes you have seen in the past. Of course, you want to have your dry foods and your medical supplies and all of those necessary things at hand and safely secured in the event of an impact from a hurricane, this hurricane season. And continue to pay attention to the weather forecasts and bulletins as they come out. It's an above average and active season, I understand. I think it's 19 storms, and so could be in for a very long hurricane season. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. the pre-launch festivities begin at the Villa Grounds. It is the official launch of the NRP's campaign for the 2022 federal elections. Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, the party leader, will lead a team of 3, which includes myself and Dr. Patricia Bartlett. And so at 7 we begin with some music by New Level Sounds. At 8:10 we begin the official program. Come and hear from the candidates who are looking to represent you, looking to put your life front and center, the focal point of all our policies and programs. And then after that you can stay, mix and mingle, get to have some small talk with the candidates, and enjoy the festivities. Equally Real Right will be with us, as well as Blackstone Family and Co will bring down the house. And so we invite you to join us tomorrow for the official launch of the NRP's campaign 2022. We look forward to seeing you there. And then of course after that we get on the road with our public meetings, and of course we continue our house to house canvassing and getting to know you a little bit better and understand a little bit of your concerns, and not just your concerns. Oftentimes we talk about concerns, but our people are very resourceful. They have quite a bit of ideas, and we look forward to hearing those ideas and what we can do differently, what we can do better, in an effort to serve our people better, to serve you, the public, better, all of you. Whether you support the NRP or you support the CCM or you're in the middle, our aim is to ensure that our service reaches you and that you benefit from it. And so tomorrow 7 p.m. sharp, our festivities begin again with some music, and then we get into our official program. You'll hear from myself, you'll hear from Dr. Bartlett, and you'll hear from Dr. Hodge as we move forward in a new direction with the NRP. That's it for me. It's been another edition of Speak Up. We'll see you next week Thursday, same time, same place. Good night.
Join Jaedee Caines and Rohan this and every Thursday on the Caribbean's powerhouse, Von Radio, for Speak Up, a social commentary talk show that addresses the state of affairs on Nevis. Expect great conversations, different perspectives, and an all-inclusive approach to moving Nevis forward. Tune in. It's time for us to speak up.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited